regulation during his tenure as president. Now things have changed completely. It's a 180-degree turn where we're now emphasizing deregulation. That is having in corporate America and small business, Main Street America, a tremendous impact. And it is, again, another area of significant change going on in this country. Next, let's talk about trade policy. This is in the news all of the time. It was a key part of Donald Trump's campaign. He talked endlessly about not having America being taken advantage of any longer. He called out China in particular an awful lot on the campaign trail. And I think as president, he's followed through on this. Early on in his administration, he opted not to sign the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP, that had been negotiated by the previous administration but not enacted. He pulled us out of the TPP. He instituted limited tariffs not too long ago against a variety of countries, especially in the EU and in China. Now, there's been back and forth with this. Some of the things that Donald Trump initially said several weeks back, he has come off of and backed away from. And even today, as I recorded this, there was news about him renegotiating the tariffs with the European Union. China, especially, in my opinion, has been a bad actor and not a fair trading partner on a number of fronts. So, candidly, I largely agree with Donald Trump's goal of creating healthier trade that offers advantages to this country and our workers. I don't always agree with his methods and his rhetoric, but generally I think he is on the right path. Also, President Trump has discussed renegotiating NAFTA, which involves Mexico and Canada, and I think there's a lot of hyperbole going on with that. On one hand, leaving NAFTA would probably be a bad thing. I think most people agree with that. But I do think President Trump is doing a fair amount of posturing, setting out his negotiating position, taking a hard stance. NAFTA's been around for a very long time. We've never revisited it or updated it. There's lots of instances in NAFTA where American workers were taken advantage of. And I'm sure there were other elements to NAFTA where Mexico and or Canada didn't make out so well. So I personally am in favor of the three countries sitting down, renegotiating the trade agreement in a way that is healthy and productive for all three of us. But again, this is something that really was not tackled in the previous administration, at least in my opinion. And it is an area of change. It is a key part of what Donald Trump wants to do. And as I've said consistently in this podcast, I don't mean to beat a dead horse. Whether you like this or not, whether you think it's good policy or not, it is a key area of change. For example, several weeks ago when he first instituted the tariffs, well, the media had a field day. The markets got spooked, and we had several down days in the stock market simply based on fears of what Donald Trump might do and concerns that we might end up in a trade war. It's widely accepted that nobody would win a trade war if the United States and China really got into a nasty one. I think it's something to watch. I think it's definitely something to be fearful about. An all-out trade war would be harmful to everyone involved and certainly be negative for the worldwide economy as well as the U.S. economy. But I think those fears are overblown. It seems extraordinarily unlikely that China and the United States would end up in an all-out trade war. So it's something that I watch and monitor. I think it's of importance relative to the work we do in managing money for our clients. But at the end of the day, I think it has a very low probability of happening. Another example I'll give is that previous presidents, rightly or wrongly, have instituted tariffs of one form or another. President Obama did it. President Bush did it. Before him, President Clinton did it. it's fairly commonplace for presidents to institute tariffs. I think you could greatly question the wisdom and the effectiveness of doing that, but it's kind of routine. I don't really spend that much time worrying about it when I think of the markets and positioning clients and trying to attain goals for everyone's financial plan. So, in summary, the United States is in a state of change. It's largely driven by the administration. Whether you agree with the president or not, whether you like the policy or not, you need to be aware of these things. We here at Elliott Wealth Management Services are keenly aware of what's going on. So to review, we talked about interest rates. Interest rates are on the rise. We're in a rising interest rate environment for the first time in a very long time, and that's having a significant effect on the economy and the markets, and I think that will continue. We talked about the very, very healthy job market we have that's doing wonders for many of our American citizens. I think that's a great thing. Tax reform is having an impact, and I don't think that it's really made its way through the economy. It's still only a few months old, and implementation kind of rolls out. It takes some time to make its way through the economy, but I think it will have a tremendous impact and a positive impact on the economy. We talked about deregulation and trade policy. There's lots of other changes we could talk about. For example, for the first time in a long time, there are increasing fears of inflation. We have gross domestic product economic growth that's faster than we had the previous bunch of years. On the foreign policy front, I don't think anyone would argue that Donald Trump is taking a very different posture in both rhetoric and tactics and in every conceivable way. He is different than his predecessor and, quite candidly, most of his predecessors. So there's a lot of change going on. Our role in working with clients to help them achieve their financial goals and be good stewards of the money that's under management with us requires us to keep in touch with these topics. So please, if you would like to discuss these things or anything else for that matter, I'd love to hear from you. You can go to our website, www.elliottwealth.com, and you could sign up for a no-cost complimentary consultation where we can talk about your financial plan, your goals and objectives, and this is true whether or not you're a client of ours yet. You can also subscribe to this podcast, the Simply Financial Podcast, at our website or at iTunes and Stitcher. Lastly, you can sign up for our mailing list. I would appreciate the chance, if you're not a client, to connect with you to see if we might be a good match and to see if we might be in a good position to help you improve what you're doing financially and enhance your chances that you achieve your financial goals. So thank you so much for listening today. I will be back with you very soon with the next episode of the Simply Financial Podcast.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of SagePoint Financial Incorporated and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Please note, the information being provided is strictly as a courtesy. When you link to any of the websites provided here, you are leaving this website. We make no representation as to the completeness or accuracy of the information provided at these websites, nor is the company liable for any direct or indirect technical or system issues or any consequences arising out of your access to your use of third-party technologies, websites, information, and programs made available through this website. When you access one of these websites, you are leaving our website and assume total responsibility and risk for your use of the websites you are linking to. Securities and advisory services are offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Insurance services offered through Elliott Wealth Management, LLC, not affiliated with SagePoint Financial.